The massive alien station hung in space like a metal mountain. Captain Lee Dae-ho stared at it through the small window of his shuttle as they approached. The station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was called Nexus Prime, and it was the home of the Galactic Council. Lee Dae-ho had seen many battles in his 43 years. He had fought in the Outer Colony Wars when pirates attacked human settlements. He had seen ships burn and good people die. But looking at this alien station made him feel small for the first time in years. "Captain, we're being scanned again," said his pilot. The young man's voice was tight with worry. "Let them scan," Lee Dae-ho said. "We have nothing to hide." That was not exactly true. Earth had many secrets, but the aliens didn't need to know that yet. Beside him sat Dr. Park Sun-mi, Earth's chief expert on alien languages. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. She had spent 20 years studying the 12 alien species that made up the Galactic Council. She knew their languages better than most of them did. "Captain," she said quietly, "remember that the Zentari consider direct eye contact to be a challenge. And whatever you do, don't show your teeth when you smile. They see that as a threat display." Lee Dae-ho nodded. He had been briefed on alien customs for weeks. The Zentari were 12 feet tall with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. They thought they were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They probably were, but Lee Dae-ho had learned not to judge a fight before it started. Their shuttle docked with a soft bump. The airlock opened, and they were met by 2 Zentari guards. The aliens towered over the humans. Their 4 arms ended in hands with 6 fingers each. Their eyes were large and black, and they looked at the humans like they were studying insects. "Follow," one guard said in perfect English. His voice was deep and rumbling. They walked through corridors made of some smooth metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Other aliens moved past them, some floating, some walking on legs, some sliding on what looked like controlled energy fields. Lee Dae-ho had seen pictures, but seeing them in person was different. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years while humans were still learning to make fire. They entered a huge round chamber with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 massive chairs were arranged in a circle, each one designed for a different alien species. Most of the chairs were filled. The largest chair held Counselor Velthar, the Zentari representative. He was even bigger than the guards, with scars across his blue-gray face that spoke of ancient battles. His black eyes fixed on Lee Dae-ho with obvious contempt. "So," Velthar said, his voice echoing in the chamber, "these are the humans." Dr. Park Sun-mi stepped forward and spoke in the formal Zentari language. Her pronunciation was perfect. "Honored Counselor, we come as representatives of Earth to hear your words." Velthar's 4 arms moved in what Dr. Park Sun-mi had told Lee Dae-ho was a gesture of dismissal. "Your species speaks our language poorly, but we will overlook this failing. You are here because the Galactic Council has reached a decision about your world." Other counselors shifted in their chairs. Lee Dae-ho recognized some of them from the briefing files. There was Counselor Theiss of the snake-like Vorthak, whose people could live for over 1,000 years. Counselor Nexus of the crystalline Havanites, whose bodies were made of living mineral, and others, each representing a species that had mastered space travel while Earth was still in its dark ages. "For 300 of your years," Velthar continued, "we have watched your species. We have observed your wars, your violence, your primitive attempts at technology. We have been patient, hoping you would grow beyond your savage nature." Lee Dae-ho's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "Instead," Velthar said, standing to his full height of 12 feet, "you have become worse. You build weapons instead of art. You prepare for war instead of peace. You spread across your star system like a disease, always taking, always consuming, Dr. Park Sunmi translated quietly, though Lee Dae-ho understood most of it. The Zentari were not trying to hide their feelings about humanity. "Your ships carry missiles instead of research equipment," said Counselor Thiss, her long neck swaying as she spoke. "Your colonies are military bases disguised as settlements. You are a species that knows only conflict." "This cannot be allowed to continue," added Counselor Nexus, his crystal body ringing like a bell as he spoke. "The galaxy has known peace for 2,000 years. We will not let one primitive species threaten that peace." Velthar raised one of his 4 hands. "Therefore, the Galactic Council offers humanity a choice. You have 30 standard galactic cycles to disarm your military forces completely. You will destroy your weapons, abandon your military colonies, and submit to Council oversight. In return, we will guide you toward a more civilized existence." "And if we refuse?" Lee Dae-ho asked. His voice was calm, but Dr. Park Sunmi could see the anger in his eyes. Velthar's lips pulled back, showing rows of sharp teeth. In Zentari culture, this was actually a smile, but it looked threatening to human eyes. "Then you will face corrective action. 12 species, Captain. 12 civilizations with technology your people cannot imagine. We have ships that can crack planets. We have weapons that can stop time itself. We have fought wars across galaxies while your species was learning to use metal." "We do not wish to destroy Earth," said another counselor, this one from a species that looked like a giant flower with tentacles. "We simply wish to prevent you from becoming a threat to galactic peace. Surely you can see the wisdom in this." Lee Dae-ho looked around the chamber at the 12 counselors. Each one represented millions or billions of beings. Each one commanded technology beyond human understanding. Each one looked at him like he was a child who needed to be taught his place. 30 days, he said finally. 30 standard cycles, Velthar corrected. "Your days are shorter than the galactic standard. You will have time to consider our generous offer." "We'll consider it," Lee Dae-ho said. He paused, then added, "But I want you to understand something, Counselor. Earth doesn't kneel." The chamber fell silent. Several counselors leaned forward in their chairs. Velthar's 4 hands clenched into fists. "What did you say?" Velthar asked. Lee Dae-ho met the aliens, black eyes without flinching. "You heard me. We'll take our 30 days. We'll discuss your offer, but know this, Earth doesn't kneel to anyone." Dr. Park Sunmi touched his arm, a warning to be careful. But Lee Dae-ho was done being careful. "Your species has ruled the galaxy for thousands of years," he continued. "You've grown comfortable. You've forgotten what it means to fight for something you believe in. We haven't." Velthar took a step forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the humans. "You dare threaten the Council?" "I'm not threatening anyone," Lee Dae-ho said. "I'm just telling you who we are. We're human. We don't give up, we don't surrender, and we sure as hell don't kneel." The silence stretched for long seconds. Then Velthar laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "Primitive bravado," he said. "You will learn, Captain. When our fleets darken your skies, when your cities burn, when your people cry out for mercy, you will learn that there are some things in this universe that cannot be fought." "Maybe," Lee Dae-ho said, "but we'll find out, won't we?" As the humans were escorted back to their shuttle, Dr. Park Sunmi whispered urgently, "Captain, was that wise? You may have just declared war on the entire galaxy." Lee Dae-ho watched Nexus Prime shrink in their window as they flew away. "Doctor," he said, "I have a feeling war was always inevitable. At least now they know we won't go quietly." Behind them, in the council chamber, 12 species began planning for what they thought would be the shortest war in galactic history. The shuttle touched down at Luna Base, just 18 hours after leaving the alien station. Captain Lee Dae-ho and Dr. Park Sunmi were met by a full military escort. The message was clear. Earth was already preparing for war. General Choi Bin-woo, waited for them in the secure briefing room deep inside the moon's surface. He was a thin man with silver hair and tired eyes. He had been in charge of Earth's most secret projects for over 15 years. Projects that the Galactic Council knew nothing about. "Captain," General Choi said as they entered, "I trust the aliens made their position clear. 30 days to surrender or face their combined fleets," Lee Dae-ho replied. "They seem very confident." "Good," General Choi said, surprising both visitors. "Let them stay confident. Confidence makes people careless." He led them through corridors, carved from solid rock. Armed guards stood at every checkpoint. Dr. Park Sun-mi had the highest security clearance on Earth, but even she had never been this deep into Luna Base. They entered a massive underground chamber that took Dr. Park Sun-mi's breath away. The space was filled with ships unlike anything she had ever seen. They were sleek and dark, almost invisible against the black walls. Workers moved around them like ants, making final preparations. "Welcome to Project Defiance," General Choi said. "What you're looking at is humanity's real fleet." A young woman in an engineer's uniform approached them. She was tall with short black hair and oil stains on her hands. "General, the last batch of adaptive weapons just finished testing. They performed even better than expected." "Captain Lee, Dr. Park, meet engineer Yoon Ha-nul," General Choi said. "She's the one who designed our new toys." Yoon Ha-nul wiped her hands on a cloth before shaking hands with them. "The aliens think they know what human technology looks like," she said with a grin. "They've been watching our public military for centuries, but they've been looking at the wrong things." She led them to a workstation covered with strange devices. "See, the council species developed their technology over thousands of years. Each generation made small improvements. Very steady, very predictable. But humans don't work that way." She picked up something that looked like a metal cylinder. "This is an adaptive plasma cannon. The first shot it fires might not be very impressive, but it learns from each target. By the 10th shot, it's twice as powerful. By the 100th shot, it can punch through their strongest shields." "How is that possible?" Dr. Park Sun-mi asked. "Quantum memory cores," Yoon Ha-nul said. "Each weapon remembers every shot it fires, every target it hits, every defense it encounters. Then it adapts, gets smarter, gets deadlier." General Choi nodded toward the ships. "Every vessel in this chamber is equipped with adaptive systems. Weapons that learn, shields that evolve, engines that optimize themselves during combat." A new voice spoke from behind them. "And they can all talk to each other instantly, no matter how far apart they are." They turned to see a woman in a lab coat. She was young, maybe 30, with thick glasses and wild hair that suggested she had been working without sleep. "This is Dr. Kang So-young," General Choi said. "She solved a problem that alien scientists have been working on for centuries." Dr. Kang So-young looked embarrassed by the praise. "I just found a new way to use quantum entanglement. When two particles are entangled, they share information instantly across any distance. I figured out how to entangle entire computer systems." She led them to a wall covered with screens showing data streams. "Every ship, every weapon, every soldier in our military is connected through quantum networks. When one unit learns something, they all learn it instantly. When one ship finds a weakness in enemy armor, every ship knows about it immediately." Captain Lee Dae-ho stared at the screens. "The aliens have no idea this exists." "None," General Choi confirmed. "They've been watching our regular military, ships with chemical rockets and metal bullets. They think that's all we have." A tall man in a black uniform entered the chamber. He moved like a predator, silent and confident. His name tag read, "Commander Oh Tae-min." "General," he said with a slight bow. "The Ghost Fleet is ready for deployment." "Ghost Fleet?" Lee Dae-ho asked. Commander Oh Tae-min smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Stealth ships that can phase in and out of normal space. The aliens' sensors can't detect us when we're phased. We can appear anywhere, strike, and vanish before they know. What hit them? He gestured to the dark ships around them. Each ghost ship carries a crew of 12. We've been training for this moment for 8 years. We know every alien ship design, every weapon system, every tactical doctrine they use. How do you know? Their tactics, Dr. Park Sunmi asked. General Choi exchanged glances with Commander Oh Tae-min. Because we've been watching them longer than they've been watching us. Show them. Commander Oh Tae-min led them to another section of the base. Here, the walls were covered with images and data about alien ships, weapons, and tactics. There were detailed technical drawings of every Council species technology. For 50 years, Commander Oh Tae-min said, we've been sending invisible probes into their space, probes they never detected. We've watched their military exercises. We've analyzed their weapons. We've studied every battle they've fought for the last half-century. Dr. Park Sunmi felt dizzy. You mean while they were watching us? We were watching them, General Choi finished. Learning everything about them while showing them only what we wanted them to see. A message appeared on one of the screens. General Choi read it and nodded. Admiral Kim Woo-jin wants to address the fleet commanders, the real ones, not the public military. They moved to a communications center where a dozen screens showed military leaders from around the solar system. Admiral Kim Woo-jin appeared on the main screen. He was an older man with gray hair and scars on his face from an old battle. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Kim said, in 29 days the Galactic Council will arrive expecting to find a primitive species ready to surrender. Instead, they're going to find something they've never encountered before. The screens showed Earth's hidden military installations, weapon factories on asteroids, training centers in deep space, shipyards that had been disguised as mining operations for decades. The aliens think war is about superior technology, Admiral Kim continued. They believe the most advanced species always wins, but they've never fought humans before. They've never faced a species that gets stronger during a fight instead of weaker. Engineer Yoon Ha-nyul spoke up from her workstation. Admiral, all adaptive systems are ready. When they attack us, every shot they fire will make our defenses stronger. Every tactic they use will be analyzed and countered. Good, Admiral Kim said. Dr. Kang, what's the status of the quantum network? Dr. Kang So-young looked up from her screens. Fully operational, sir. Every ship, every base, every soldier is connected. Information sharing is instant across all units. Commander Oh, are your ghost ships in position? Commander Oh. Tae-min nodded. 60 ships deployed throughout Council space. They have no idea we're there. Admiral Kim smiled grimly. Then let's give the Council something to think about. They want to see primitive humans? Let them keep thinking that for 29 more days. But start moving our real assets into position. General Choi turned to Captain Lee Dae-ho. Captain, you'll be commanding one of our battle groups when the fighting starts. But first, you need to see what we're really capable of. They walked to an observation deck overlooking the main hangar. Below them, hundreds of the dark ships were preparing to launch. Engineers and pilots moved with practiced efficiency. The Council thinks they're dealing with a young, frightened species, General Choi said. They expect us to beg for mercy when their fleets arrive, but we've been preparing for this day since we first detected their signals decades ago. Will it be enough? Dr. Park Sunmi asked quietly. Engineer Yoon Ha-nyul looked up from her work. Doctor, those aliens have spent thousands of years conquering primitive species who couldn't fight back. They've never faced anyone who could match their technology, let alone exceed it. Commander Oh Tae-min checked his watch. In 3 hours, my ghost ships will be in position around every major Council world. They'll never see us coming. Captain, Lee Dae-ho watched the ships below as they prepared for launch. The Council species have ruled the galaxy for millennia. They've grown comfortable. They've forgotten what it means to fight for survival. Exactly, General Choi said. They think superior technology equals automatic victory. They've never Learned that the most dangerous enemy is the one with nothing to lose and everything to fight for. Admiral Kim's voice came through the speakers one final time. Remember, everyone, in 29 days, 12 alien species are going to attack Earth expecting an easy victory. Instead, they're going to face humanity at its finest. They wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. We're going to teach them that some species refuse to accept any place except the one they make for themselves. As the first ghost ships launched into the darkness of space, Dr. Park Sun-mi realized that the Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They had given humanity 30 days to prepare for war. 30 days for the most dangerous species in the galaxy to get ready for the fight of their lives. 30 days had passed. Fleet Admiral Ryu Chang-ho stood on the bridge of the battleship Indomitable, watching the enemy fleet approach through the main screen. 10,000 alien ships filled the space around Earth like a deadly cloud. Each vessel was massive, bristling with weapons that could destroy entire cities. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "the Council fleet is broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding our immediate surrender." Admiral Ryu was a calm man who had fought in every major battle of the last 20 years. His hair was completely gray now, and his face showed the weight of command. "Let them talk," he said. "Actions speak louder than words." Behind him, Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-won checked her tactical display. She was young for her rank, only 32, but she had the sharpest military mind Admiral Ryu had ever seen. Her battle plans were works of art. "Admiral," she said, "our sensors show 12 different ship designs. Each species brought their best vessels. They really want to make an impression." Through the quantum communication network, reports came in from across the solar system. Earth's public military bases were broadcasting distress signals, making it look like humanity was panicking. Meanwhile, the real fleet waited in hidden positions. On the alien flagship, Counselor Velthar stood in his command center. The massive Zentari wore ornate battle armor that had been passed down through his family for generations. Around him, holographic displays showed the human fleet, exactly 300 small ships compared to his 10,000 giants. "This is almost insulting," Velthar said to his tactical officer. "Did they really think so few ships could challenge us?" Counselor Thexana, the military strategist from the crystalline species, appeared on his communication screen. Her crystal body rang like bells as she moved. "Perhaps they plan to surrender once they see our full strength," she said. "Some species need a demonstration of power before they submit." "Then let's give them one," Velthar said. He opened a channel to all council ships. "Begin the traditional display. Show these primitives what real power looks like." The alien fleet moved into perfect formation. 10,000 ships arranged themselves into a massive cone shape, pointing at Earth. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The formation had broken the will of 100 species over the centuries. On Earth's command ship, Admiral Ryu watched the display with interest. "Impressive," he said. "They certainly know how to put on a show." "Should we be worried, sir?" asked his tactical officer. Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-won answered before the Admiral could speak. "They're showing us exactly how they plan to attack. Formation tells us everything about their strategy. This is going to be easier than we thought." The alien formation completed its display. Then Velthar's voice echoed across space on all frequencies. "People of Earth, you see before you the combined might of 12 civilizations. We have come to accept your surrender and guide you toward a more peaceful existence. You have one final chance to submit." Admiral Ryu picked up his communication device. His response was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. "Counselor Velthar, this is Fleet Admiral Ryu Chang-ho of the Earth Defense Force. We have considered your offer very carefully." "And?" Velthar demanded. "We decline," Admiral Ryu said simply. The silence stretched for several seconds. Then Velthar's angry voice filled the void. "So be it. You have chosen destruction over wisdom. Begin the bombardment! The alien fleet opened fire all at once. 10,000 ships launched their most powerful weapons at the human fleet. The space between Earth and the aliens lit up like a star as energy beams, plasma bolts, and exotic matter. Weapons streaked toward their targets. Admiral Ryu watched the incoming barrage with calm eyes. All ships, activate adaptive shields. Let's see what they've got. The alien weapons struck the human fleet. For a moment, the 300 Earth ships disappeared in a ball of fire and energy. The aliens cheered, thinking they had won in the first exchange. Then the fire cleared, and all 300 human ships were still there. "Impossible!" Velthar roared. "Our sensors show direct hits on every target." Counselor Thexna's voice was confused. "All weapons performed correctly. The humans should have been vaporized." On the human ships, engineer Yoon Han-Yul's adaptive shield technology was working perfectly. Each shield had analyzed the incoming weapons and adjusted itself to absorb the energy. More than that, the shields had learned from every attack. "Ma'am," the shield operator reported to Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-won, "enemy weapon patterns have been analyzed and stored. Shields are now optimized against their entire arsenal." "Excellent," Nam Ji-won said. She opened a channel to all human ships. "All vessels, execute Pattern Alpha. Let's show them what we learned from their little demonstration." The 300 human ships suddenly moved in ways that defied physics. Some seemed to fold space around themselves, appearing behind enemy vessels. Others split into multiple images, confusing alien targeting systems. Still others simply vanished from sensors entirely. Commander Oh Tae-min's ghost fleet had been waiting for this moment. 60 additional ships materialized out of empty space, appearing directly among the alien formation. The enemy had no time to react before the ghost ships opened fire, but these weren't ordinary weapons. Each shot from the human ships adapted itself during flight, changing its properties to penetrate whatever defenses it encountered. The aliens' strongest shields, developed over thousands of years, proved useless against weapons that learned and evolved in real time. The first alien ship to be destroyed was a massive Zentari dreadnought. Its shields flared and died as adaptive. Plasma bolts tore through armor that had never been breached before. The ship's destruction lit up the battle space like a new sun. "How?" Velthar whispered, watching his finest vessel burn. But the humans weren't finished. Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-won had studied alien battle tactics for years. She knew exactly how each species would respond to an attack. As the aliens tried to reform their lines, she was already 3 moves ahead. "All ships, execute pattern." "Beta!" she ordered. "Focus fire on command vessels. Cut off their coordination." The human fleet moved like a living thing. Each ship knew exactly what every other ship was doing through the quantum network. When one vessel found a weakness in enemy armor, every ship instantly knew about it. When an alien ship tried a new defensive tactic, the entire human fleet adapted to counter it within seconds. Major Seo Kyung-min commanded the ground defense forces on Earth's surface. His job was to stop any alien forces that tried to land, but as he watched the space battle through his command center, he realized the aliens had bigger problems than landing troops. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "alien dropships are launching from their fleet. Looks like they're trying to take Earth's military bases by force." "Let them come," Major Seo said. "Our boys have been waiting for some action." The alien landing forces were the best soldiers from 12 different species. They had conquered worlds across the galaxy with their advanced weapons and tactics. They expected to find human military bases defended by primitive soldiers with simple weapons. Instead, they found soldiers whose equipment adapted to every threat in real time. Human armor that learned from each hit and became stronger. Weapons that improved their accuracy with every shot fired. Communication systems that shared every tactical discovery instantly across all units. The first alien unit to land was from the Vorthak species. snake-like beings who could move faster than human eyes could follow. They had crushed resistance on 50 worlds using speed and surprise. But Major CO's soldiers had been expecting them. Motion sensors are tracking targets moving at Vorthak speed, his tactical officer reported. Adaptive targeting systems are online. The Vorthak soldiers found themselves facing humans who could predict their movements and hit them with weapons that adjusted their firing patterns automatically. For the first time in centuries, Vorthak's speed was not enough. In space, the battle was turning into a disaster for the aliens. Their beautiful formation had been shattered. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were burning and drifting. The humans fought with a coordination that seemed impossible. Counselor Thexna's voice was filled with panic as she spoke to Velthar. Our losses are approaching 15%. These humans fight like nothing we've ever encountered. Their weapons are learning from our defenses. Impossible, Velthar shouted. We are the most advanced species in the galaxy. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, perhaps we should consider withdrawal. Our forces are being systematically destroyed. Velthar stared at the battle display. The human fleet was smaller, but it was winning. Each exchange of fire left more alien ships destroyed, while the humans seemed to grow stronger. Send a message to the Council, he said finally. Tell them we need reinforcements. Tell them these humans are not what we expected. But it was too late for messages. Commander Otamen's ghost ships had identified the alien command vessels and were systematically destroying them. Without central coordination, the alien fleet began to fall apart. Admiral Ryu watched from his command ship as the enemy formation collapsed. Signal all ships, he said. Prepare for pursuit operations. We're not done with them yet. Lieutenant. Commander Nam Ji-wan looked up from her tactical display with a grim smile. 2 weeks after the battle at Earth, Captain Bayek Jin-ho stood on the bridge of his ship as it emerged from hyperspace near the Zentari homeworld. Around him, 50 human vessels appeared like ghosts from the void. The alien planet below had no idea they were coming. Captain, his sensor officer reported, we're detecting massive orbital defenses around the planet. Looks like they've been building up their military since the Earth battle. Captain Bayek was a quiet man who had spent most of his career fighting pirates in the outer systems. He had never expected to be leading humanity's first attack on an alien homeworld. But the war had changed everything. Good, he said. Let them build all the defenses they want. We're not here to fight their military. On his tactical display, he could see the locations that Commander Park Chan-wook's intelligence teams had identified. Military supply depots hidden in asteroid fields, secret research stations that the Zentari thought no one knew about, command centers buried deep underground. For 50 years, humanity had been watching the aliens without them knowing. Every secret base, every hidden weapon, every classified project, Earth's invisible probes had found them all. Signal the fleet, Captain Beck ordered. Begin Phase 1 operations. Hit the supply depots first. The human ships moved with deadly precision. They didn't attack the obvious targets like the orbital defense stations or the main military bases. Instead, they struck at the support systems that kept the Zentari war machine running. The first target was a fuel depot hidden inside a hollow asteroid. The Zentari had been using it for 300 years. They thought it was completely secret. Captain Bayek's ship appeared next to it without warning and destroyed it with a single shot. On the Zentari homeworld, alarms began ringing in military command centers. General Korthval, the Zentari defense commander, stared at his screens in confusion. Where did they come from? He demanded. Our sensors showed empty space 2 minutes ago. His intelligence officer was equally puzzled. Sir, the humans are hitting targets we never told them about. How do they know where our hidden bases are? The answer came from Major General Lee Yu-jin, who was commanding human operations across 3 star systems. Her ships had been appearing throughout Council space for the past week, striking targets with impossible accuracy. All units, this is General Lee. Her voice came through the quantum communication network. Phase 2 is authorized. Begin liberation. Operations. The Zentari had ruled over 17 different species in their home system. These subject races had been forced to serve their Zentari masters for centuries. They worked in the mines, built the ships, and grew the food that kept the Zentari Empire running. But the humans brought them something the Zentari had never offered: freedom. Captain Bayek's ships appeared over a mining world where the bug-like Cathara species had been enslaved for 800 years. Instead of attacking the planet, the humans broadcast a message in the Cathara language. "People of Cathara 5, the message said, we are humans from Earth. We come to offer you a choice. Your Zentari masters never gave you. Fight with us, and we will help you reclaim your freedom." The response was immediate. Across the planet, Cathara workers rose up against their Zentari overseers. Mining equipment became weapons. Communication systems spread the rebellion to other worlds. Within hours, the entire Cathara population had joined the human cause. This scene repeated itself across Zentari space. The Vexhai, who had been used as living computers for 6 centuries. The Morphic Collective, whose shape-changing abilities had been exploited by Zentari scientists. The Ethereal Singers, whose beautiful voices had been turned into propaganda, tools. Each species that joined the humans brought unique abilities and knowledge of Zentari weaknesses. The rebellion spread faster than the Zentari could respond. Commander Park Chan-wook coordinated the intelligence war from his hidden command ship. He was a thin man with sharp eyes who had spent 20 years learning alien secrets. His network of human spies and alien allies was providing information faster than the Zentari could process it. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender offers from 6 Zentari colony worlds. They're asking for human protection against retaliation from their own government." "Accept all surrenders," Commander Park said, "but keep our ships ready. The Zentari won't give up their empire easily." He was right. On the Zentari capital world, High Counselor Kethral was mobilizing every available ship for a counterattack. The elderly Zentari leader had ruled his people for over 2 centuries. He had never faced a crisis like this. "How many systems have we lost?" he asked his military advisors. 43, my lord," General Korthval replied. "The humans are coordinating with local populations to overthrow our governors. They seem to know everything about our operations." "And our allies?" Kethral demanded. "Where are the other council, species?" The answer came from across the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire was under attack by human forces led by Commander O Taimin's Ghost Fleet. The Havenites were dealing with rebellions on 12 different worlds. Every council species was facing the same crisis. The humans weren't fighting one war. They were fighting 12 wars at once, perfectly coordinated across the entire galaxy. Lieutenant Commander Nam Ji-wan stood in the war room on Luna Base, surrounded by holographic displays showing battles across known space. She had been promoted to Strategic Operations Commander after her success at Earth. "Ma'am," her aide reported, "we're receiving requests for support from liberation movements on over 200 worlds. How should we prioritize?" Nam Ji-wan studied the displays. Each colored dot represented a world in rebellion against its alien masters. Red dots were species that had been enslaved. Blue dots were species that had been conquered but still maintained some independence. Green dots were species that had willingly joined the council but were now reconsidering their position. "Send support to all red dot worlds first," she said. "Enslaved species get top priority. Then we help the conquered worlds. The willing members can wait until they ask for help." This was the pattern across the galaxy. Humans didn't force anyone to join their cause. They simply offered freedom to those who wanted it and protection to those who asked for it. But for species that had willingly oppressed others, there would be consequences. Captain Bayek received new orders as his fleet finished liberating the Cathara worlds. "Captain, you're ordered to the Vorthak system. Intelligence reports there planning to execute prisoners from the species that rebelled against them. The Vorthak were the snake-like species that had terrified the galaxy with their speed and cruelty. They ruled through fear and had never shown mercy to anyone who defied them. Now they were planning to make examples of the rebels. How long to reach Vorthak space? Captain Beck asked his navigation officer. 6 hours at maximum hyperspace speed, sir. Too long, Captain Beck said. Signal the fleet. We're going to try something new. Dr. Kang So-young had been working on improved hyperspace technology since the war began. Her latest breakthrough allowed ships to travel faster than anyone thought possible, but it was dangerous and untested. Captain, his engineer warned, the new hyperspace drive hasn't been fully tested. We could end up scattered across the galaxy. Better than arriving too late to save those prisoners, Captain Beck replied. All ships, prepare for quantum hyperspace jump. The human fleet disappeared from Zentari space and reappeared near the Vorthak homeworld in just 2 hours. The journey that should have taken 6 hours had been cut to 2, but the cost was high. 3 ships had been lost in hyperspace. Captain Beck didn't hesitate. As soon as his fleet arrived, they struck at the Vorthak execution facilities. The brave, snake-like aliens had been preparing to kill 10,000 prisoners as a warning to other potential rebels. Instead, they found themselves under attack by humans who had crossed the galaxy to stop them. The rescue operation was a complete success. Not only were the prisoners saved, but the sight of humans risking their lives to protect aliens they had never met sent a powerful message across the galaxy. High Counselor Kethral received the reports in his command center on the Zentari homeworld. Around him, his advisors tried to make sense of what was happening. My lord, General Korthval said, the humans are fighting differently than any species we've ever encountered. They're not trying to conquer territory or capture resources. They're liberating everyone we've ever ruled over. And they're winning, added Intelligence Director Vextal. Our subject species are joining them faster than we can suppress the rebellions. Some of our own people are starting to question the war. Kethral stared at the holographic display showing the galactic situation. Half the galaxy was now in open revolt against Council rule. Human forces were coordinating the resistance with impossible efficiency. How many humans are there? He asked quietly. Our best estimates suggest 8 billion on their homeworld, maybe 2 billion in their colonies, Vextal replied. 10 billion humans are defeating a galactic empire of trillions, Kethral said. How is this possible? The answer came from a communication intercept that Intelligence Director Vexital played for the Council leadership. It was a message from Admiral Kim Woo-jin to all human forces. Remember, the Admiral's voice said, we're not fighting to build an empire. 6 months after the Galactic Council's ultimatum to Earth, President Han Dong-su stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. The new assembly hall orbited the neutral world of Harmony Station, built from the wreckage of the old councils. War machines, representatives from over 300 species, filled the massive chamber. Some walked on legs, others floated on energy fields, and a few existed as pure thought patterns displayed on screens. But they all shared one thing: they were free. President Han was a calm woman in her 50s who had led Earth through the darkest days of the war. She had never wanted to be a galactic leader, but the freed species had asked Earth to guide the formation of their new government. Friends, she began, her words translated instantly into hundreds of languages. 6 months ago, we were told to kneel or face destruction. Today, we stand together as equals, building a future where no one will ever again be forced to bow to tyrants. In the audience, former slaves sat next to their former masters. The Kithara mining workers sat near Zentari civilians who had refused to support their government's war. The Vex-High computational beings shared data streams with Havenite crystal creatures who had once enslaved them. Admiral Kim Min-soo watched from the military observer section. The old Admiral Kim Woo-jin had died 3 months ago during the final battle for the Vorthak homeworld, but not before seeing the war's end. Kim Min-soo had taken his place as commander of the human allied fleet. The fleet was no longer just human ships. Cathara engineering vessels worked alongside Zentari heavy cruisers whose crews had mutinied against their own government. Vorthak. Stealth ships flew in formation with human Ghost Fleet vessels. Former enemies had become allies in the fight for freedom. Ambassador Lim Hai-wan stood to address the assembly. She was a young diplomat who had spent the war negotiating with newly freed species. Her job was to help write the laws that would govern their new galactic civilization. The old council ruled through fear, she said. They told species what to do and punished those who disobeyed. Our new galactic assembly will be different. Every species will have a voice. Every world will choose its own path. In a secure section of the station, former Councillor Velthar watched the proceedings. On a screen, the massive Zentari warrior was now a prisoner, awaiting trial for crimes against dozens of species. His 4 arms were bound, and his proud expression had been replaced by confusion and defeat. "I don't understand," he said to his guard, a human soldier named Corporal Park Jin-soo. "We gave the galaxy order. We prevented chaos. We brought civilization to primitive worlds." Corporal Park was a young man who had fought in the liberation of 7 different star systems. He had seen the slave camps, the forced labor facilities, and the execution centers that the council called civilization. "You brought order," the corporal agreed. "But you forgot that real civilization isn't about forcing people to obey. It's about giving them the choice to do what's right." The trial of council members had become a symbol of the new galaxy's commitment to justice. But unlike the council's old courts, these trials were fair. Council members who had opposed slavery were freed. Those who had tried to stop the war were given light sentences. Only the ones who had ordered atrocities faced serious punishment. Former Councillor Thexna had actually joined the human cause during the war. The crystalline being species had been enslaved by other council members centuries ago. When the revolution began, she had helped coordinate the liberation of her people. "The council told us we were equals," she testified at Velthar's trial. "But some species were always more equal than others. The Zentari and Vorthak made the real decisions. The rest of us just followed orders or faced destruction ourselves." This truth had shocked many species during the war's final months. The PABI Galactic Council had really been controlled by 3 or 4 dominant species who used the others as puppets. The liberation had freed not just slaves, but many council members themselves. Dr. Park Soon-mi, now serving as Earth's chief xenological advisor, worked with teams from dozens of species to understand how the old system had functioned. What they found was a galaxy built on lies. "The council claimed they brought peace," she reported to the assembly. "But they really brought silence. They stopped wars by crushing anyone strong enough to fight back. They prevented conflict by making resistance impossible. The new system would be different. Instead of preventing all conflict, they would ensure all conflicts were resolved fairly. Instead of silencing opposition, they would give it a voice. Instead of ruling through fear, they would govern through consensus." Admiral Kim Min-soo addressed the Military Planning Committee. Around the table sat former enemies who now worked together to keep the galaxy safe. "The human allied fleet will not be an army of conquest," she said. "We exist to protect freedom and defend those who cannot. Defend themselves. Any species that chooses tyranny will find us standing in their way." The fleet that had once been humanity's secret weapon was now the galaxy's guardian. Ships from 40 different species patrolled trade routes, responded to distress calls, and intervened when local conflicts threatened innocent lives. Commander Tae-min still led the Ghost Fleet, but now his invisible ships carried humanitarian supplies as often as weapons. His latest mission had been delivering medical aid to a plague-stricken world whose government had collapsed during the revolution. "It's strange," he told his crew after the mission. "A year ago, we were preparing to fight for Earth's survival. Now we're flying across the galaxy to save aliens we've never met." His second-in-command, a former Vorthak soldier named Slickstar, replied in halting English, "Is not strange, Commander, is what civilized beings do." The integration of former enemies into human military units had been one of the war's most surprising developments. Species that had fought each other for centuries found common ground in their desire for freedom. Engineer Yoon Ha-Nul had established technical schools throughout the galaxy where humans taught adaptive technology to any species that wanted to learn. Her students included former council scientists who were amazed by humanity's approach to engineering. "Your weapons learn from their mistakes," said Dr. Veltox, a Zentari engineer. "Ours just did what we programmed them to do. You built machines that could think." "We built machines that could adapt," Yoon Ha-Nul corrected. "Same thing humans do. When something doesn't work, we try something different. When we face a new problem, we learn how to solve it." This philosophy was spreading throughout the galaxy. Species that had followed the same traditions for millennia were starting to experiment and innovate. The technological progress in just 6 months had exceeded the previous century's advances. Dr. Kang So-Young's quantum communication networks now connected every member world of the new assembly. Information and ideas flowed freely between species that had never been allowed to communicate before. Scientific collaboration was advancing at an incredible pace. But perhaps the most important change was in how species viewed themselves and others. The old council had taught that some races were naturally superior to others. The new assembly proved that every species had something valuable to contribute. President Han delivered her closing address to the assembly as the session ended. 6 months ago, the council told us that the galaxy belonged to the strong and the weak existed to serve them. Today, we declare that the galaxy belongs to all who dwell in it, and we will ensure it remains free. As representatives returned to their home worlds, they carried with them something the galaxy had never known before: hope for a better future. Former Councilor Velthar was led back to his cell after his trial ended. He had been sentenced to life imprisonment, but he would live comfortably and safely. Even defeated enemies were treated with dignity in the new order. "I still don't understand," he told Corporal Park as they walked through the station's corridors. "How did your species defeat us so completely? We had superior numbers, superior technology, superior experience." Corporal Park thought for a moment before answering. "You had superiority. We had something better." "What?" Velthar asked. "We had something worth fighting for," the young soldier replied. "And we were fighting for others, not just ourselves. When you fight for freedom instead of conquest, everyone becomes your ally." As Earth's sun set on the first day of the new galactic age, children on hundreds of worlds looked up at stars that no longer represented distant masters, but distant friends. The galaxy had learned that true strength came not from the ability to dominate others, but from the courage to stand with them as equals. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the Galactic Assembly had begun, and at its heart was a simple truth that humanity had taught the stars: no one deserves to kneel, and everyone deserves to be free.